Good. Go ahead.
My actions were blown way out of proportion, and I just want you guys to understand this. This isn't a personal attack on our local media. I do believe this, that in order for our program to take the next step that we're looking forward to, the media and our relationship with the media has had to be outstanding. And by no way is this football versus basketball. I know this, that during the Final Four, I was happy to see two teams from the state of Kentucky. And I do, I love basketball. I was at that game myself. And just growing up in Arkansas, my dad was a basketball coach, so I understand the magnitude of each program. But in order for us to survive, and you look at each program and each sporting program within this university, this is a multi-sporting program within this university, and you look at just what happened the other night with our baseball team. Every sport can get covered. And I just say that we need to understand that we can all coexist. And you just look at, we're going through spring practice right now, and my issue with spring practice is we had 4 practices open, and after that we end up closing practices. But even though a lot of you are covering March Madness, and also with the Final Four, I understand that with the interns, if there are interns available, or they're just junior reporters that can come out and just cover our football program. And not that I'm trying to take away and not ask for special treatment for our football program. I'm not trying to do that at all. But I know that each program can coexist. And as you just look at it, what Coach Patino did with that basketball team this year was just unbelievable. He did more with less and got that team to a Final Four. And it was fun to watch them go play down the stretch the way they played. And I tell you this, I went to Bellarmine and I watched Coach Davenport. I watched one of their games over at Davenport. I watched that game at Bellarmine, and what happened during that game was so funny. My man ended up getting a bunch of texts there toward the end, but they ended up winning the game anyway. But I do want you to understand this. This isn't a personal attack at any of you, and I just want you to understand that I have passion for this program. I have passion for our football program, and we are a BCS program. We are an elite program, and I know this, that I need you just as much as you need us. And I wanted to be understood here that this is a football, once again, this is a football versus basketball. And I know that all programs can exist within this state, and it can happen because of the attitude that each one of you have, and you want to be great, just like we want our programs to be great. And so I want that to be understood. This isn't football versus basketball. But if you look at it and what's been going on within our program right now, we're right in the middle of spring ball. And there's a lot that's going to be written about our program. And I said it earlier, a lot of things are going to be said about our program. And now when you look at it, 2 years ago we picked to finish last. Last season we picked to finish last. For some reason this season they've picked us very high within our league. And we still have a long ways to go. We're nowhere near where we should be. And we have a lot of work to do. If you look at this football team right now, we have 9 seniors. So leadership is going to be an issue. And where the leadership is going to come from, you look at Stein, you look at Cover, you look at Daniel Brown, you look at Bouchel, you look at those guys. There's guys within our program, but there's 9 seniors in this program. We have a schedule that is going to be very demanding for us. With us moving the Kentucky game to Sunday, we have 3 weeks where they're going to be short weeks for us. We go play on a Sunday, then we come back and play Missouri State on that Saturday. Then we come off and then we go play we play South Florida, and then we have a short week. We have to come back and play Cincinnati on a Friday. Then we go play UConn, and we get 4 or 5 days, and we have to go play Rutgers. So what's so important, why you need those days, is all about preparation in our program and our coaches getting prepared to go play. I know the TV's a big deal, but you have to understand the demands of our schedule, and our coaches understand it. We go on the road, we play our last game here at home, and then we're off. We go on the road for a month, and then you end up when you go play 2 non-BCS games. You go to FIU and you go to Southern Miss, 2 non-BCS teams. And then you get into your schedule with the Big East. So it's a demanding schedule. It's a schedule that has been placed there. But you know what? We have to go play it. We have to go get prepared to go play it. But just to understand there's those 3 short weeks that we had to get ready for. This is a football team that just going through spring ball, we're beginning to find that identity within this program. So we're still searching for our identity because, like I said, leadership is going to be an issue, but we still have to understand that where we come from. And it's a credit to our coaches, it's a credit to our players that come so far in 2 years, and now all of a sudden being picked to either win this league or be placed second in this league. Just a tremendous job that they've done. But still, though, we're nowhere near where we should be. And then just being an overall team. And we have to work, and that's what you try to build in the spring practice with the fundamentals and the technique. You want to become a football team, and that's beginning to happen. And just to break us down, you know, offensively, we are balanced. We run and pass. We're very balanced on offense. We want to go run and play action with the boots, and we want to stretch the field in our passing game. Attack the open zones and try to find the field zones and get the ball in the hands of our playmaker. On defense, we're very aggressive, very multiple. We will attack. We're going to play man coverage. We're going to blitz. And that's just a part of us. That's what's going to happen. Now, we have to find those guys who can go cover them, but we're going to blitz. And then in the kicking game, we have to be very aggressive. We've got to find us a kicker. Phil Pott was in our program. He's out now. But we have to find us a kicker. We got to find guys that can go down the field, get off of blocks, and then we got to be able to go and block people in the return game. So our special teams, the offense and defense, you know, it's all three phases that are very critical within the game, and we know this, and we have to work hard to make sure that when it's time to go play, that all three phases are working together and playing together. When you break us down and you look at what we have, just breaking us down on offense, we have an outstanding quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater. He's still young, he's still growing, and then you have an adequate backup in Will Stein. And then you have two players right there in that quarterback position that can take this football team and go lead it. Because now, just look at us in spring practice, now we were able to go out to spring practice and practice and just keep the flow of practice going and the tempo going just because our quarterbacks were able to generate the offense. At the running back position, and I hate to say it because every time I say a position could be your solid position, could be your best position, it kind of falls back on you, slap you in the face. But at the running back position, you have Brown, you have Dominique Brown, you have Sonoris Perry, you have Corbin Lamb, you have Jeremy Wright. You have 4 running backs that you can put the ball in their hands and they can make it happen. They can make you miss. They're beginning to run behind their pads, and they're beginning to run over people. But the running back position is a very solid position for us right now. At wide receiver, we had to find the playmakers at wide receiver. You have Devontae Parker, you have Andrea Smith, Eli Rogers. You have some guys there that can catch the football, Radcliffe, that can catch the football. Now when you catch the ball, can you make people miss? Can you get the positive yardage? Can you get the ball down the field? Can you make the big play? And that's what we're searching for at wide receiver right now. And the offensive line, I'm just telling Coach Borbs that I really like our offensive line and just how that line has really come together and is playing very well in the spring practice for us. If you look at the O-line, you have Jamon Brown, as you have Smith right next to him. At the center position right now, Mario's not in spring practice, so you have Walker and Romano at the center position for you. Then you have Miller and you have Cupper at tackle. So it's now the issue we have to find is depth at that position, because you have Mac. You have some guys there, and they're young, because you look at Jamon, he ended up starting in the North Carolina game for us last year as a freshman. You look at Jake Smith, he was a redshirt freshman. Mario has some experience to him. Miller was a true freshman. Trump has some experience to him. But at offensive line positions come together. And it is a fun group to be around because they know how to work and they understand the toughness within this program. Because we're going to run the football. And there's no question we're going to run the football. So the way we're going to run the ball is that offensive line had to be able to move people, open up seams in the defensive sports, and let our running backs run behind those seams. The tight end position, you have Nord. Hubble's a young man that we signed a semester. He's in school here right now. And Chris White. So you have 3 young men that are tight end. And so if you look at us offensively, it's a, like I said, run and play action. But we feel like that with the quarterback position, with Teddy Bridgewater, and he still needs to improve, but at least you have a leader there who can take the offense and go manage it and operate it and move the chains for you. Defensively, you lose Dexter Heyman, who was an outstanding leader for us, but you took Dexter. Now we have a Brown there playing that position for us. So now you look at us on defense. And last year we thought the strength of our team would be our defensive linemen. Got a bunch of guys banged up, but coming back with our defensive line now, there's a lot of guys that played for us last year. Brandon Dunn inside, Jermaine Brooks inside, and then you look at us outside with Marcus Smith But you have enough guys there with B.J. Butler, with Malden, where you have enough bodies that you can rotate guys. It's not a dominating guy at that position, but you just have enough bodies where you can rotate your work guys. And you just ask those guys to fit blocks in your gap and get off blocks and go run to the football. And then we at the linebacker position with the 2 young men that we signed there that played in the Army All-Star game, you feel like that the linebackers position that we've really helped ourselves. And it has been with Preston Brown. But you feel like that now, that's a position that last year was a question mark for us because you felt like Dexter was the only one, and he did. This defense is set up for a Mike linebacker, and Dexter made a lot of plays for us. But you still have Preston Brown, you have Mount outside, but you have some guys there that played a lot for us. And in the secondary, you look at Bouchel at one corner, you look at Johnson at the other corner, you look at Pryor at safety. But when you have the guys there, then you look at Akeem Smith at safety. Your 4 starters are back there in the secondary. So you feel like you can go play man coverage because you're going to be able to put pressure on people and go play man coverage. But like I said, in the kicking game, we're going to have to find us a kicker. You know, there's guys that compete for that position, but we're going to have to find us a kicker because it's going to be critical. Because we're going to be able to move the ball, and that's just a matter of us. If we don't score the touchdowns, which we need to do, then we have to kick the field goals. But you look at our team from last season, and just to evaluate it, just us breaking it down as coaches, we felt like when we got the ball in the red zones, we didn't create enough touchdowns, and we didn't prevent the touchdowns from being scored against our defense. So it's something that we worked very hard on this spring. We are 14-12, and if you look at it, the 12 games that we've lost, the average margin of loss is 7.3. 7.3 is the average margin of loss. So if you look at it, just a play on offense or stop on defense, and who knows where you would be right now. But it's just amazing to see just how far this team have come and just how much better this football team can get. It's loaded with a lot of youth, a ton of youth. But it's good that the way we're working, the whole work ethic has changed. Just guys, the accountability has changed. The responsibility has changed. And guys understand just who they are. And like I said, it's just when we find that identity, we're still working on it, but when we find that identity, then we'll really understand who we are and what this football program is all about. But like I said, we're a BCS program. We're an elite program. I have passion about this program. And that's what I want to see within this community, because we get all the support within this community. We have tremendous fans here, and we just want to make it happen. And like every sport can survive, but it's all about this football team continue to make strides, continue to get better. You know, we're going to end up playing the spring game here on Saturday. You know, the guys that go home, they'll be back here this summer, and then we'll just start our preparation when we get into fall camp. But I'll open up for questions now, and anybody has anything, feel free to ask.
Can you talk a little bit about Jamon Brown and what a job he's doing? Was there ever any consideration on moving him back to defense, and what's he's got to do to improve?
Jamon Brown is going to be, you know, knock on wood, he's going to be a really outstanding player, a big guy that can really move, has great size, can cover you up, and has outstanding feet. But there's no, Jamon Brown is not going back to defense at all. He will stay at offensive tackle.
Sorry not to belabor the point, but kind of getting back to your opening statement of why this is the first time we're being able to talk to you. I mean, I don't know how to say it without sounding confrontational, but
Just say it. It won't be confrontational.
Louisville was in the Final Four. Kentucky was in the Final Four. This was a historic Final Four in a sense, and all of our resources were pretty much in basketball, which the games mattered at that point in time. The same way I wouldn't tell you during recruiting season to go send Vance Bedford to Alabama to recruit or something. How are you going to dictate, you know, us having some resources back here, which I can't speak for everybody, but I know our staff is pretty much a skeleton staff. We have 5 of our 8 writers at the Final Four.
See, I understand it, and really, I'm not attacking, and I'm happy. And like I said, the 2 basketball teams from this state, and then one ends up winning it, which is great. I was at the game, but I guess I look at there's not interns, there's not junior reporters, there's not someone else. I don't know. I'm asking.
In sports, no.
I'm just asking.
It wasn't an issue of us not wanting to be there.
Oh, I understand.
We just didn't have anybody to send. And the analogy I used earlier would be like if the basketball team was going through preseason practices and we were allowed to go to those practices, but you guys were playing in the Orange Bowl, I think everybody would be at the Orange Bowl. It's just you have to make decisions sometimes based on what you have available. And it wasn't, I don't think, it wasn't of us anybody not wanting to be there. It's just, you look around and say, can you go to spring practice? No, I got to go do this. So, and I was just back to CL. I mean, and I understand your point too. I mean, I can understand as a coach looking out, not seeing anybody there. I don't think any coach in America would be happy with that, but it wasn't a matter of choosing not to be there or not wanting to be there. It's more of, it's a resource issue.
And I understand, and like I said, I'm not asking for special treatment here. I'm not. The only thing I was just looking at, our guys work hard, and I just want recognition. And our players, I think they deserve that. And I understand the basketball side of it. And everybody say, well, it's not football versus basketball. It is not about that at all. It isn't. And you look at it, but from the outside, everybody think, oh, it's football. It isn't that. It's just, like I said, I didn't know if there was interns or just someone there when you come walking out.
Coach, are you more upset the Louisville media is covering UK as much as they did?
No, and I would say this to you, and Coach Cal did, when they go win the national championship, that doesn't bother me, because my focus is on Louisville. It does, and when you look at the Louisville, I don't think it's biased. I mean, it's, they're going to cover Louisville, they're going to cover Kentucky, they're going to cover Murray State, they're going to cover us all, so that doesn't bother me. But I guess I look at it as, we are a big-time program. We're a big-time program. We're a BCS program. So just give me some guys. Even if it's a student, give me anybody. If it's a student, just give me anybody.
Coach, so have you asked them about freelancers? There's plenty of freelancers in this.
We're not going to get into what our budget is and how many people
But anyway,
we can send out here.
is the media freeze over?
The media freeze is over.
Charlie, can you, so we're all clear what happened, I'm not even clear when people weren't allowed to come, or could you give me just what?
I can't remember exactly, Drew. I just know we had 4 open practices, and the first 3 were covered, and the last one wasn't. And then we had many practices and no one was there. So I just said, and not that I was taking away, I just sit there and said, okay. And you have to look at it like, as a coach, I mean, you have passion for your program, so you want people to write about your program. And like I said, it's not a personal attack on anyone, but we all want to do our jobs the best. We do. You want to be best at your job, I want to be best at my job. So a lot of times, and me coming from the outside, I see it a little differently, because you've been here a long time, or you've been here a long time. So I see it a little differently than everyone else. So I just look at it like, okay, it's got to be some way that we can get this done. And not attack anyone personally, but some way we can get it done. Where everybody's working together, where, okay, we can satisfy like I said, this is a program with a lot of sports, so not only just football, there's basketball, there's volleyball, there's soccer, but baseball, there's a lot going on. So if it isn't CL, or if it isn't you, can it be someone else? But the budget, you're right, some places have budget issues, and that can happen. But I'm just defending my program.
Coach, I guess if the goal is more coverage and making it tough and closing us out and having less coverage that way, I mean, when you look back at this, do you feel like you accomplished your goal?
Well, it wasn't so much I'm looking for a goal. It was like, okay, you weren't here in the beginning, or you weren't here anyway, so do you want the coverage?
Well, I can say we do.
But you're going to get the coverage. But it wasn't, and like I said, it's no personal attack at all. I just want recognition for my program. And we all do. You want to be the best, like I said, it's your job, and that's what we want.
I don't think there's any question that the guys in this room particularly, and those that represent our staffs, love you as a head coach. It's nothing personal against the program. You just happened to run into a once-in-a-lifetime best sporting event Kentucky's ever had at Louisville and Kentucky, facing each other in the Final Four. It was no...
And all you guys wanted to be there to see it. I said that, and you should have been, but and I don't know. It's got to be a way where we can get it all worked out. It's got to be a way that can happen.
Football question. obviously a lot of the analysts have you guys as the favorite for the Big East this year. How much have you embraced that as a team?
Well, what I've said to our team, and I really haven't said much about it, but when I do talk about it, I'd say, well, you look at the last 2 years where they had you pick. They had us pick last. So now all of a sudden, to go from worst to first in 3 years, so you didn't buy into it when they picked you last, so let's not buy into it right now. Let's stay focused. We got to this point because we worked so hard. So let's continue to work hard and stay, and we know our goals and what we want to get accomplished. So, and at the end of the day, you still have to go play the game, but it's good that they deserve to be picked where they are just because of how hard they've worked and the coaching staff, the job they've done. But we still have to realize, you know, who's picking it, and it comes back to us working hard enough to go get it accomplished.
How do you feel like they'll handle that, given last year, after a couple of big wins, you said you didn't feel like they handled success well?
Well, what's good now is that most of those guys that played last year, we have probably 90% of them are back. So they saw what happened and what could happen if you get full of yourself. And that's what we can't allow happen. And we can't allow that to happen as a coaching staff, where we get full of ourselves and then all of a sudden you hit a roadblock where it should never happen.
Who are some of those guys who had a special spring or really stepped up in the spring?
If you look at us on offense, the quarterbacks both have competed well and played. Jamon Brown had an outstanding spring. Cupper just continues to get better and better each and every day. The running backs, the 4 running backs I talked about with Dominique, with Jeremy Wright, with Sonoris Perry, and with Corbin Lamb, every opportunity those young men got to carry the ball, and it wasn't much. Because I think Coach Carter thinks that he can just rotate them in. I keep telling him I just want to see one, but he keeps rotating them. But all 4 of those guys have competed well. Devontae Park at wide receiver, Eli Rogers at wide receiver. Look at the defensive side of the ball. Keith Brown is a freshman that have come in. We get him here at mid-semester and has competed very well. Preston Brown is beginning to come into his own, going into his 3rd season. You look at us up front, Malden, Mount. All those guys up front are just playing well for us. Jermaine Brooks, Brandon Dunn has had a special spring, and Bouchelle and Pryor and Akeem Smith, he's going into his 2nd year starter. But it's just fun to watch how hard they're working out, and they understand how to work. So now as a coach, you don't have to run out there now and say, let's go hard. We got to compete. We have to do this. They understand it, and they understand the coaching staff because now they've been into the program going into our 3rd season now.
You mentioned some of those guys when you're talking about the offense and defense, but who are some of the guys that either had surgeries or sitting out this spring that we won't see during the spring game?
Well, last year we had 24. This year we only have 14. Mario will not be, Keith Brown, Kai Dominguez, Zed Gaines. It's about 14 guys on this list.
You talked about a lot of areas of the kicking game I know you're concerned about. Is there another position or area where you're challenging guys to step up? I know you've been pleased with Teddy and the line. Is there one position where you kind of maybe pushing those guys along and challenging them to step up this spring?
My biggest concern would probably be depth, just because we have no depth. Because once you look at the offensive line, so you got 5 guys you feel comfortable with. Now you need 2 more, so you need at least 7 linemen. When you look at even on the defensive line, we're going to be able to rotate some guys, but we're still missing. It's all about now taking that puzzle and just making sure that you have each piece and putting it in where it needs to be fitted. But if you think about it, running back, you're going to be solid. Wide receiver, you still need a playmaker. We need a playmaker wide receiver. Devontae Parker's probably that guy, but we need those guys to come on at wide receiver. You look at just like the offensive line probably is a concern, defensive line is a concern. But the other positions, you have the guys there now. It's just a matter of them developing and growing and becoming a good player.
When you have experience,
Steady growth from last year to this spring.
You don't always say it to a guy, and it just for some reason I truly feel strong about this. If you watch a guy in the classroom, and and I tell a player all the time, Show me a football team with good grades, and I'll show you a good football team. Show me a football team with bad grades, you're gonna get a bad football team. Teddy Bridgewater wants to be the best in the classroom. He said, Coach, if I'm gonna be an All-American student, if I'm gonna be an All-American player on the field, I wanna be an All-American student in the classroom. So when you get that type of attitude, and that's what you get from him, then he just wants to develop and grow, and now it's just, he just keeps just studying, and he's studying the game, and now he can walk up there, and it's, what's different about this spring than last spring was we were just trying to find us a quarterback. You know, you was rotating all these guys in. Now all of a sudden when they walk up there, just the flow goes, because everyone knows what they have to do, because you got a quarterback who can make the checks, who can get us in the right play, and go run the play where it's functional.
When you've got a guy like that, I mean, he essentially ruins the curve for everybody. That was the phrase back in school. But when you got a guy like that, does he take away excuses for everybody else? Like when they say, I don't have time for schoolwork, Teddy can say, well, I got time for schoolwork.
Well, a lot of them, it doesn't matter, because a lot of them don't get like that. But just by his leadership, it just speaks volumes. Because now, because of his leadership, he can look at another guy, and another guy would try to not be like him, but at least they'll listen to him.
In reading your website, the Yobel website, it said that you were looking for a running back to step up and become the face of the program, and now it seems like you're more comfortable with the committee approach. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I would love to get one and just give him the ball and just watch him go run it. But what we have, really, with those four guys, they're kind of the same. You have Dominique, who's a big power runner. You get Sonoris, who is he's a slash, where if he get outside, he's going to outrun you. But the thing about him is he has the quickness. Jeremy Wright has the quickness you're looking for, and then Corbin is not as big as those guys, but he still have power and quickness. So it's all about, you know, I don't know if we can take one and just say, hey, this is the guy, but you have four singing that where you can go play a game and you feel comfortable with either four of those guys in the game.
What do you hope fans see during the spring game Saturday?
Well, you just want to get the guys to get out there and play with fundamentals and play with technique and make sure we don't get anyone injured and just have fun playing.
What's the format of the game? What are you looking to see there?
We haven't decided that yet. What's tomorrow, Friday? We'll talk about it on tomorrow. But we're going to put it out there and let them go play and have some fun.
Quarterback's a very vulnerable position. Can get hurt at any time. How confident are you that Will Stein will do the kind of job that Teddy did last year if he had to come in there?
Well, right now they can't touch that quarterback. They can hit any position out there they want. Don't touch the quarterback. If you're okay, if you beat him and you're going to go sack him, just run past him, just hit his hip or whatever. If he's throwing it, don't get in his throwing direction, because that way he doesn't get a helmet, get a hand on the helmet. But it is a very vulnerable position, and both of those guys. You know, the thing you like about Will Stein is that even when he got injured in a Kentucky game and Teddy came in and played as well as he played and continued to play well, that Stein still studied the game. He still was a leader, and he's that right now. If I want to talk to somebody, I'm gonna go talk to Will Stein, because it's just amazing to watch him, and he knows his role and he understands his role. But it's just he's an unbelievable person.
Charlie, you mentioned Preston taking over for Dexter at that linebacker spot. Just how has he done with that change?
Preston has done very well, and the thing about Preston is that we know he's talented. Now it's just a matter of him just going to go play, and now he's beginning to lock in, and he understands that that position, the middle linebacker position, you should be the leader on defense, because you're going to make most of the tackles if you go play right. But he's done an outstanding job.
Coach, how important is it to get 20,000 fans in the stands for the spring game?
Oh, I'd love to. I don't know if that's going to happen, but no, just because it's just a show of support and let the players understand that, hey, you have the support behind you. So we come back in here in September, you know what's behind you right now. So just continue to work hard, and you're going to get more of that if you just continue to develop and play. If you win football games, you're going to draw the fans if you win, because people want to see a winner. And you just think about it. Everybody follows a winner.
Is DeAndre Mountain, is he still going to kind of be a hybrid linebacker and defensive end?
He is a hybrid player for us. He plays, if we go base package, he is a linebacker. And when we get into our pass rush game, he goes in as a defensive lineman. Because the thing about him, he has speed and quickness, and he can outrun people. But put on some weight for us, and has done a really good job this spring.
You've talked about him before, but now that he's got another spring under his belt, Marcus Smith and the type of difference maker that he could be.
Well, Marcus, you take a guy who come in there, he came in as a quarterback, then we moved him from quarterback to linebacker, and then he went from linebacker to up front, so he don't have anywhere else to go. But he just continues to get bigger, and the thing about him, he's learning how to compete.
Was the game moved to Saturday in order to, maybe give more fans a chance to come out, or was that just totally coincidental?
Well, a combination of both, but what you like is, at least on Saturday at 1 o'clock, you feel like that, they can come out and tailgate, they can have fun, they can even tailgate after the game, but you think you can get you a good crowd here on a Saturday.
In terms of locker room or on the field or whatever you choose, who left the biggest shoes to fill, do you think, from this class that just departed?
The class that just departed. Well, you can look at it, Vic had a really outstanding year for us at running back. Dexter did an outstanding job for us, but it's just so hard to just, take one guy and just point at it, because you had a group of seniors in there that played well for us. They got us to another bowl game, so it's, for me to just say 1 to 2 guys, I just don't want to make this statement, but you have Dexter at backer, and you still have Vic at running back, but those are the 2 guys that really stand out because they played a lot.
You've worked at some outstanding programs. Florida would be the first one to come to mind. In any way, with this little faux pas that's gone on between you and the press, you're not discouraged here at Louisville that we're not Florida?
No, I'm not discouraged. I know where I'm at, and I understand, and I do. You get the point, because there's budget issues and all those things, but you still have the support here. That is never. You're going to always have the support, because people want to see a winner. And when you see the program, when they went to the Orange Bowl, you had a lot of support. And then we hit, you took 3 years there where it didn't go well. Now you're beginning to build it back. And once you build it back and you get it back to where it needs to get back to. But I'm just so passionate about what I do, and it's a job that I have, and I should be like that, because with the players, I just feel like they deserve the recognition because they work so hard. And so if they work hard, if you always tell it, you will be rewarded. So how will you be rewarded? And sometimes I think that if guys just work hard, it's going to be given to them.
I guess I'm saying is that you aren't discouraged enough to try to find a bigger program someplace else.
Where am I going? You're trying to run me out of here. Where's he sending me to? Where's he sending me? Look, with this program, and I have a coaching staff, and if you look at the continuity of our coaching staff, we have had guys on that staff that had opportunity to leave and did not leave, because we have a mission here, and we're going to get this mission accomplished.
Not trying to run you off, Charlie, but has Arkansas?
There you go. You knew he's going to run off. No, Arkansas, no, I've not.
Can you fill in some details about what you hope to accomplish with the expansion of the football offices?
Well, what we're just trying to do is just upgrade, and you look at the building here, just trying to change it. Look at even into this room has changed some, but it's all about just making sure that you stay up to date, and you just keep moving with everyone else. Because what happens when you bring in recruits, first thing they just look around. They don't even know what they're looking for half the time. They just see a picture on the wall or carpet on the floor. But it's all about you just staying where you're just trying to keep up with every other program.
Any thoughts about moving the Unitas statue a little bit?
Where I need to put him at.
You can move it. Well, he's covered up during the games by that rubber.
Oh, yeah, by the, good idea. I like Mr. Klein, we're about that.
When you get into summertime, it's all about weightlifting and recruiting. When you look at this next class ahead, what are some of the needs in recruiting? What are some of the things you want to go out and get?
Well, you're always trying to find just really good football players. It's going to be still offensive, defensive line, because I just don't think you ever have enough offensive, defensive linemen. You want to go find you some skilled guys, it's a wide receiver position, defensive back position. Still need some linebackers, but with every position, we're just trying to just fulfill our needs.
We know you can't mention names, but certainly this next class in the state of Kentucky, how would you rate the talent level there?
Well, it's always good talent in the state, so it's just, there's going to be guys that are recruiting, we're going to have to go recruit them.
this is the first year that we start to see the landscape shift. Temple joining the conference, and a few others in the upcoming years. What are your thoughts on eventually having to travel places like Boise and San Diego State and into Texas as well?
Well, you know what happens too, it's just when we start looking at that a year or two from now, then I think the league will be divided up east and west, so it just depends on where you fall, and then, if you have to go make that trip or not. But you're gonna have to, because I think that you're gonna have to play, two teams, because you're gonna have to switch over to play on this side. And you have to make that trip, we made that trip out to Oregon State last year. That was a ride, so you're gonna have to make a trip in order for the conference, just because of the way the conference is set up.
Do you feel stronger about the viability of this conference at this point?
Well, you always look to get other teams in, but you don't know who else that you can join. But you look at us, and you always look for a show dog. So you're just hoping that we can continue to develop to become that show dog.
Saw a promo video with Vance Bedford talking about get on the train, and have you all had some fun with Vance about that? That kind of, it's gone viral now, essentially. I mean, he's...
No, we don't let Vance off the hook with that. They were talking about it for a while now. I think it's done died out. So.
Michael Lee Harris came down and just update us on his rehab.
I think, well, Michael Lee's not in spring practice, but he's going through rehab right now, and he'll have the summer to go through it also. But he won't get any work until fall camp.
But do you expect him to be ready to go in August?
I would say it'd be a good chance he would be. If he isn't, then we'll just hold him.
Hey, Coach, going back to the special teams for a second, last year there were some inconsistencies in the return game. Do you have anything, I guess, any new players step up that you have pegged to return kicks and punts this year, the same crew? What are you thinking on special teams for the return game?
Well, you'd hope that they've grown up some, because we had Eli and Ratcliffe back there. You're right, in the return game, especially the punt return game was where we had the issues. Right. And what we'd like to do is make sure that guys understand, catch the punt, get get positive yardage. One game the ball bounced off our face mask going up, but we have to get better in that area. That's the return game, both with punt and kickoff return. We have to get better. And even you talk about even with the coverage, and Coach Carter's done a good job because he has a special group of guys. And now that you're into it, hoping that now we got better, and it's all about now just and you have to block the right people. It comes down to blocking also when you look at return game.
Did you see progress this spring?
We did, and we did, had each day we did a different phase of kicking. So we had a lot of opportunities in punt return, kickoff, and punt. So we had every phase, so we worked a lot on it.
Yes, Coach, good?
All right, thanks, guys.
They covered spring game. They covered spring game.
Oh, they can cover spring game. I said it.